All right, cool. Let's go. Let's go. Let's talk. Let's build. All right. So, what's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name's Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, filming this video, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. It's close to being the end of the year. It's been a very productive, wild, crazy ride in 2023. Looking forward to 2024. I just want to come in here and build on a few things before the year is up. Uh, so tomorrow we will be having live with Acti. The topic is still being debated right now. We don't know what exactly we're going to do, but we're looking forward to coming live one last time with y'all for 2023. Also, I want to say thank you to all the subscribers who have tuned into my channel. This has been my biggest subscriber year, period. Period. It's been the biggest subscriber year, period. I hope everybody who's tuned in and subscribed will stay subscribed for 2024 because I have a lot of content coming for y'all and stuff like that. And it's been a very rewarding year on YouTube. I got monetized this year. I got 2 or 3 paychecks. I forgot, but I got paid from YouTube, so I'm officially a YouTuber this year. So I'm glad YouTube gave me the opportunity. But I'm nothing without the people. The people make me. So you watching this video, you make me. All the subscribers, the donators. Shout out to Layberry, Avery Adams, Ozzy, Craig Mack, everybody who's been rocking with me this year. I want to say thank you so much for everything y'all do and for all the comments, all the likes, everybody's been so helpful. It's been such a productive year on YouTube that I was able to make enough money to buy a MacBook, and I haven't had a MacBook for a few years. So that's why I'm testing out the MacBook right now on the live. I would be doing like traditionally what I do where I read a text on OBS, but I wanted to just test out the camera, test out the audio, see what it sounds like, and chop it up with y'all about this topic that I usually wouldn't cover, but I just felt like it was cool to just chop it up with the people about it and share my 2 cents about this. So recently, Dr. Umar went on Joe Budden's podcast. And on the Joe Budden podcast, they had a 5-hour discussion. I didn't hear all of it because I believe it's on Patreon. And I'm not a big Joe Budden fan. I don't watch a lot of Joe Budden content. I just pick out a few snips here and there. But go check out the list I did for the YouTube channel I work with called Culturalist Theory. I ranked all of Joe Budden's albums from worst to first this year, and that you can find in my community tab. So go into my community tab, scroll down a bit, and you'll find the link to that video, or just type in Culturalist Theory Joe Budden or Joe Budden albums ranked best to worst, and you'll find it. It's not hard to find. So yeah, I'm more concerned with Joe Budden's music than actually his podcast. To me, I don't find a lot of interest in it. But whenever Dr. Umar is on, I'm gonna often tune in. Not all the time, because Dr. Umar sort of has the same talking points that he covers over and over again. And I hate that I'm even bringing this up, because on my channel, I don't even do the gossip for the big, other pro-black content creators on this platform and on other platforms or in social media in general. But the topic of hip hop came up, and basically Dr. Umar said Eminem cannot be the GOAT. He cannot be the greatest rapper of all time because he is a white man. And essentially, because he's a white man, he will never be good at something that was unequivocally created by Black Americans, right? Pardon if I can't pronounce that word right, but you get the idea. Black Americans are the creators of hip hop. Dr. Umar said Eminem cannot be the GOAT because as a white man, he'll forever be, in the words of Lord Jamar, a guest in the house of hip hop, and that Black rappers will always be better than Eminem, right? And I find this very, how can I say this? There's some nuance in there. There's some truth in there. There's some falsehoods in there. But I just want to break that topic down because I believe it's very interesting. So let's start with the idea of a GOAT. What makes somebody the greatest rapper of all time, or just the greatest of anything? It takes skill. It takes dedication. It takes years of consistently being at the top of your craft or at the top of your field. It takes hit records in the case of hip hop, right? It takes selling albums. Let's not do that debate where people say, oh, the sales don't matter, it's all about the music. No, the sales do matter because that's your impact. Because one part of hip hop is being able to make a great rap song, 316s and a dope hook over a fire beat and you ripping it up. That's why we love Nas. That's why we love Jay. That's why we love Pac. That's why we love Big. And that's also why we love Eminem, because Eminem has shown consistently that he's able to do that at a very high level. We're not going to discount Eminem's talent, the talent part of it, just because he is a white person, because that would be racist. That would be racist, number one. Let's be honest. Some people say black people cannot be racist. I would say I agree with that idea. Black people inherently cannot be racist as a people because we don't have the force, the ability to force our will onto others. We do not have the ability to make other people not be able to get jobs, not be able to get housing, that sort of stuff. But individually, black people can be racist. Yes, I could be hypothetically discriminatory to an Indian person, a Chinese person, or a white person, and that sort of stuff. That's absolutely true. So individually, me saying Eminem is not a talented rapper would be flat out racist. That would be denying his skill. That's like me being the most qualified lawyer for the job, and I am not counted as the final candidate to be the lawyer at this law firm just because I'm a black person. Because they will say, well, this is the white man's law. So therefore, you as a black person could never truly grasp the white man's law or be good at the white man's law. And that's the flaw in the logic there. So saying Eminem could not be the greatest just based on talent, I believe is flawed. It shows a weak understanding of what hip hop is, of what music is, and that sort of stuff. And for me, as a cultural critic, as somebody who spends hours of my life writing about hip hop, I just wrote a very long list for Twister, and I got a bunch of lists that I already did for culturalist theory. Some people might say that might not make me legitimate, but I have people who believe in my opinion enough and my understanding of hip hop enough to trust me with writing the scripts for their stories. So I think I know what I'm talking about. Plus, I'm a 33-year-old black man who's been listening to hip hop since I could remember. The first music I remember listening to was Sir Mix-a-Lot's Mac Daddy album, and then also the Wu-Tang Clan tapes my father gave me, and then the X-Clan tapes my father would play in the car, and then the Me Against the World cassette tape that I still have at my home in Monroe, Louisiana, is some of the first music that I really truly fell in love with. So hip-hop runs in my veins, and Eminem was literally the first CD I bought for myself. The Marshall Mathers LP, along with Nelly's Country Grammar album, which came out around the same time, bought them at the same time. And the Marshall Mathers LP is hands down one of the greatest rap albums of all time. We can't discount Eminem for having classics, for having hits, for having sales, and for hands down having talent, for being a sick rapper, or was a sick rapper. So the talent part for Eminem is one thing that we have to acknowledge. Now, let's talk about the impact Eminem has had. Now, this is where I think he gets a bit fuzzy. Because if we start talking about impact, Eminem did bring us 50 Cent. And 50 Cent also brought us G-Unit, which for a brief time was great music in hip-hop history. We're not going to deny Get Rich or Die Trying. We're not going to deny Hunger for More. We're not going to deny Bucks Straight Out of Cashville. We're not going to deny all those great albums and plus those G-Unit mixtapes that a lot of people wouldn't have heard about. I'm talking about the ones that came out before and after 50 Cent got signed to Aftermath. We're not going to discount those. Those are great pieces of music in hip-hop history. It's hands down a fact, okay? We're going to acknowledge that. What else has Eminem brought us, though? What else has Eminem brought? D12, I think we could have lived our hip-hop lives without D12. Let's keep it real. We didn't need D12. I love Bizarre. Bizarre is hilarious. But aside from Bizarre and Kaniva, does anybody else in D12 actually register? And Kaniva should have actually got more shine because he's actually a sick lyricist. He's actually sick. Detroit got a lot of spitters, and Kaniva is one of them. But we could have lived without D12. We definitely need 50 Cent and G-Unit, but what else has Eminem's impact brought on us? When we talk about impact, I'm talking about the family tree. Just Eazy-E alone has created so much hip-hop. Without Eazy-E, we wouldn't have Dr. Dre. We wouldn't have Kendrick Lamar. We wouldn't even have Eminem because Eazy-E was the spark that started Death Row Records and so many other things. We wouldn't have NWA. We wouldn't have Ice Cube. We wouldn't have a lot of things just from Eazy-E's presence alone in hip-hop. What wouldn't we have without Eminem? Forgive me if I'm forgetting anybody, but all of the shady Aftermath artists flopped. All of them flopped, never got their break. Now, part of that has to do with Dr. Dre being slow as hell when it comes to producing albums. But what have any of the Eminem proteges brought to hip hop? There hasn't been a single Eminem protege. Somebody might say Royce da 5'9", but Royce da 5'9" was doing his own thing separate from Eminem. They did their collab album and then that was it. Okay. All right. So Eminem's impact is one thing. His impact rests on the shoulders or in the minds or hearts of his crazy white fans who don't even listen to hip hop outside of him. Eminem has, unfortunately, the fans that now only listen to him as the primary source of hip hop and other white rappers or rappers with a similar style as Eminem. And that's not cool. Let's be real. If a person came up to me and said, I don't really listen to hip hop, but I love Eminem, which unfortunately, after traveling the world, is a lot of damn people. It's actually sad. It's actually really sad. And that goes to show systemic anti-Black racism and white supremacy that I've traveled the world. And people's number one rapper is not Tupac, it's not Biggie, it's not Jay-Z, it's not Nas, it's Eminem, which is very disheartening because while Eminem is a talented rapper, he is an anomaly of a rapper. And what I'm saying is Eminem's subject matter is not reflective of the entire hip hop community. Eminem's subject matter about killing his baby mama, his drug addiction, his beef with his mother and stuff like that, and rapping about celebrity and jokes and about NSYNC and Britney Spears. Eminem's stuff is generally not reflective of the ethos of hip hop. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of people would rather listen to a white man complain about his drug addiction and wild baby mamas and the tragedy of being a celebrity than actual Black men rapping about the struggles of growing up in the hood and dealing with systemic racism in America, which goes to show that white supremacy is real and it shows up even in music, even in Black art forms, right? There are a lot of people that might say, oh, Elvis and Eminem are one and the same, right? I think there is a difference. There is a qualitative difference between the two because Elvis, on one hand, stole Black music and then never gave credit or barely gave credit or rarely gave credit. I'm not that familiar with the history of Elvis, but by and large, people who listen to Elvis credit him as the king of rock and roll and discount all the other Black pioneers of rock and roll, like Ike Turner, like Fats Domino, et cetera, et cetera. I did a live stream on the origins of rock and roll, so go check that out, but none of the names are coming to mind, but you get the idea, right? So I think that Elvis never really showed love to the Black artists where he got his music from. He went to the Black churches, went to the hole in the wall dive bars where the Black musicians were playing, studied their moves, studied their grooves, and went out on stage and started gyrating his hips, and white America lost their mind. Did a lot of covers of Black artists and stuff like that, but that was during the time when Black music literally would not be played on radio. Black records weren't being sold to white kids, so they got a white face to sell the music. Eminem came up in the time where that sort of segregation didn't exist. And Eminem has consistently showed love to the Black pioneers of hip hop. I believe it was a Grammy Award that he won. He went up there and said, I dedicate this award to KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, Cool G Rap, et cetera, et cetera. So Eminem has consistently showed love to the Black pioneers, and through his music as well, he's even said it. Let's do the math. If I was Black, I would have sold half. I didn't have to graduate from whatever high school to know that. So Eminem has shown love to Black art, and he signed a lot of Black artists, for example, 50 Cent and that sort of stuff. Now, I'm not trying to say that, oh, you give a Black man a job or just shout out a Black man. That doesn't disqualify you from benefiting from white supremacy. No, two things can be the same at once. He can realize he is a beneficiary of white supremacy, but then also at the same time realize that, it's not okay for that beneficence, goodness, all those luxuries just to befall him without paying dues or giving credit where credit is due. So Eminem has always consistently done that, right? Now, if we were to talk about the albums themselves, at least the first three, the Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP, and Eminem Show, hands down hip hop classics, if not for their impact alone, and also for the music. Let's keep it real. Slim Shady LP is packed full of hits, packed full of dope song ideas. 96 Bonnie and Clyde. What else? Bad Conscience and that sort of stuff. Role Models. So many songs. They're not coming to mind right now, but you get the idea. Marshall Mathers, same thing, and the Eminem Show, So many great song ideas, so many original concepts, so many original flows, great beats, great delivery, and that sort of stuff. After that, it all sort of goes down with Encore, and then his drug addiction dates, and then he, slowly crawls his way back up, but then reinvents his new style and new voice, where he's chopping at rapid paces, where he's, how can I say this? Rapping with this aggravated tone in his voice. So Eminem, how can I say this, sort of lost his essence of Black music. Because if you listen to The Way I Am, or Bitch Please Too, or if you listen to Like a Soldier, stuff like that, White America, there's that certain Black flow, Black rhythm, Black cadence that was in Eminem's music that got diluted or lost over time. And after that, he came back as a super lyrical miracle rapper, and the quality of the music sort of went down briefly and then went back up. But he's reinvented his style to be in line with that type of music. You get what I'm saying? So I really don't see Eminem the same as I did when I was a kid, or even when I go back and listen to those first 3 albums compared to his last 3 albums, because it's almost night and day when it comes to the subject matter, when it comes to the flow, the lyrics, his tone of voice, and that sort of stuff. So Eminem, in some ways, has fallen off. Let's keep it real. Not every rapper will stay on top forever. Drake is the exception, but even Drake eventually will have a fall off. LL Cool J stayed on for a long time. Eventually, he had a fall off. Snoop Dogg was hot for a long time. Eventually, fell off. Nobody stays hot forever, and Eminem is no exception. So that's a part of the game. The only person I can say who was hot for a long time, fell off, and how can I say this? Got that burn back was Lil Wayne, because Lil Wayne has consistently grown tastefully. I've heard this from Tyler, the Creator. Lil Wayne has gotten better tastefully, and Eminem is the opposite. He's gotten better distastefully. His music is almost unlistenable. It's meant to impress rappers, lyrical miracle rappers, if that's what you're into. And it's an acquired taste, but Eminem's music now, for me, is very unlistenable. But for a lot of white fans, for a lot of white people who really like, that sort of subject matter, Eminem is perfect for them. And that's why his stands go so hard on him. I might be bouncing all over the place, but I'm just trying to cover everything related to Eminem. So Eminem has gotten some stands who are mostly white people. Let's keep it absolutely real. Most of the people who buy records and go to concerts for hip hop artists are white people, right? No rapper can go platinum just off of the sales of Black people, right? Because let's keep it real. Niggas ain't buying records like that. Niggas ain't buying CDs like that. You know what I mean? We bootlegging, we streaming, we on DatPiff and that sort of stuff. If you live in the hearts of men, though, if your music lives in the hearts of Black men who grew up with it, like Tupac, like Biggie, like Jay-Z and that sort of stuff, that music will be passed down to our children, to our progeny, because those are like prophetic songs and prophetic albums and that sort of stuff. So it's a give and take. If you're a rapper, it's like, what do you want to do? Do you just want to go pop and your fans love you for that one album, like Lil Wayne's The Carter 3? You get what I'm saying? I'm sure the last time white people heard Lil Wayne was on The Carter 3, but after that, I'm sure they just pick up a single here and there. You get what I'm saying? But real niggas know The Carter 2 front and back, and that's the difference. You get what I'm saying? So I think with a lot of rappers, the idea of going pop is always on the back of their mind. It's something that's always there. But Eminem just went full force with it. Some part of it is on accident, and another part of it is just a design of his, because he's even said himself he designs his music to be a mix of rap and pop and stuff like that. So Eminem chased the pop sound, and also because he's white, he had better access to the pop sound. And his fans, ride or die for him because a lot of the music and subject matter relates to them. And if we think about who's addicted to opioids the most, that's going to be white people. If we think about who thinks about killing their mother the most, that's going to be white people. If we think about, who is has violent fantasies of like, blowing up a school or strangling some celebrity to death, that's going to be white people. So white people resonate with that. Also, white people just think it's super amazing when people rap fast. White people are more impressed by rapping fast than the substance of a lyric. That's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. That's why you'll have white people swear up and down, Rap God is the greatest rap song of all time. When anybody who's black listens to that music, or anybody who just really knows hip hop, period, will probably say Rap God by Eminem is one of the trashiest rap songs. It's just disgustingly bad and good at the same time. So Eminem's fans have been hawking down, chasing down, harassing Dr. Umar ever since he said that Eminem could not be the GOAT. And the reason he gave for Eminem not being the GOAT is not because of any of the reasons I gave about why Eminem's music has declined, but it's simply because Umar said that Eminem cannot be the GOAT because he's a white man, and a white man will never be the best at something that a black man can do. And I totally disagree with that. I totally disagree with that. For example, I didn't create the white man's laws. I could have been the best lawyer. I didn't, invent the white man's version of medicine, but I could have become the best doctor. I didn't invent American democracy, but I could have been the white man's best president in American democracy and that sort of stuff. And Tiger Woods is what? One of the best golfers of all time. Ain't that one of the whitest sports? Serena and Venus Williams are some of the best tennis players of all time. Ain't that the whitest sport and that sort of stuff? So, of course, Eminem could technically be the best rapper of all time. Technically, he could. Now, why is Eminem not the GOAT, though? Let's keep it absolutely real. Why is Eminem not the GOAT? Eminem is not the GOAT because, first and foremost, you have 3 great albums in a sea of garbage. You cannot have great albums in a sea of garbage. If Kendrick Lamar only dropped Good Kid, Mad City, and that was dope, but then everything else was trash, we could not honestly say that Kendrick is one of the GOATs. So Gordana just hopped in and said Big L is the GOAT. Big L could not be the GOAT. No rapper who died after dropping one album could be the GOAT, except maybe except Biggie. And I'm not even going to argue Big Pun because Big Pun had one of my favorite albums with Capital Punishment. It's hands down in my top 5 favorite rap albums. But I couldn't even call Big Pun the GOAT. Big L can't be the GOAT. The only exception is Biggie because Biggie's music is so timeless and that sort of stuff. But Eminem cannot be the GOAT because, number one, the subject matter, while it is interesting, it is introspective, it's unique in its own right, it is not reflective of the entire idea of what hip hop is. And when I imagine the GOAT, I imagine that if all the other rappers' catalogs were erased from history, if all the other rappers' catalogs were erased from history and we only had Eminem's catalog to show to the next civilization that was after us or to show to aliens, I would not feel good as a hip hop fan giving only Eminem's catalog. It's hard for me to say that any one rapper summarizes hip hop's catalog. But if we talk about the essence, the idea, the ethos, the feeling, the oomph of what makes hip hop great, I would feel better giving up Tupac's catalog. I would feel better giving up Nas's catalog. I would feel much better giving up Jay-Z's catalog to a child who never heard hip hop, to the aliens, to the next civilization, whatever, before I gave them Eminem's catalog. I would want somebody to hear Dear Mama before they hear Rap God. I would want somebody to hear One Mic before they heard Hi, my name is. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to point out the weakest songs in Eminem's catalog or his poppiest songs, but I'm just pointing out the difference. Yes, Eminem does have introspective songs, and he also has political songs. Eminem has songs where he challenged the status quo, went at George Bush, went at Trump, challenged white America and all that sort of stuff. But Eminem's catalog does not resonate with the ethos of hip hop, which is inherently a Black American art form, which reflects the ideas, feelings, and expressions of the Black male experience in a white supremacist, racist world that is hostile to Black life and Black expression. So with that being said, Eminem's music can't reflect can't reflect the people who compose the base of the makers of hip hop and the drivers of the ideas behind it. So his catalog can't be up to that. So in a sense, somewhat I agree with Umar's take. I agree to some extent that a white man could not be the GOAT of hip hop because a white man could not encapsulate those ideas to some extent. To some extent. Maybe there is a white man that is. Maybe there is. Maybe it's Macklemore, because Macklemore has been socio-politically conscious and stuff like that. But Macklemore is a bit of an anomaly, and I'm not that familiar with his catalog, so I'm not going to jump into that. But let's jump into the comments right here. Gordana said, unrealized potential is what Big L is. Yes, there are a lot of rappers that had unrealized potential, like Speaker Knockers, like Soldier Slim, like Big Pun, like Biggie, like Tupac. Tupac was only 26 years old when he got clapped up. So yeah, there are a lot of rappers with unrealized potential. But yeah, that just because you were great and you didn't achieve your goals, that does not make you the GOAT of hip hop at all. Nas is good as well. Absolutely. Nas is one of the GOATs, hands down, cannot be debated. He's only gotten better with age. That's somebody else who's tastefully aged in hip hop and has consistently gotten better. What is the best hip hop album of all time? That's one of the hardest questions of all time. I only have my favorites. And some of my favorite hip hop albums would be Jay-Z's Blueprint, Tupac's Me Against the World. Picking a Nas album is very hard, but I really like Nas's Magic. Some people are going to get mad because I didn't say Illmatic or It Was Written, but I really like Nas's Magic. Big Pun, Capital Punishment. Ooh, and Twisted's Adrenaline Rush. I mean, these are some of my top 5 favorite albums. I mean, they can alternate over time. But if we're talking about the greatest of all time, I mean, Illmatic would have to be up there. I mean, Illmatic just has to be up there. But KRS-One's Criminal Minded could also be in there too, which was the Illmatic before Illmatic. All right. So, greatest of all time for you. Well, I just gave my list. Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous. This is dope. But once again, this goes to show something. White people, when they analyze hip hop and they listen to hip hop, they are either stuck on 2 things. White people, when they listen to hip hop, are usually stuck on 2 things. They're stuck on the music that Black men made 10, 20 years ago, and they can't move past it. So they're very quick to dismiss rap music that's made recently. So you will not find usually a white fan who will say something like The Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous is one of the greatest hip hop albums, but also can't realize the greatness of the Migos albums. They also can't realize the greatness of a YG album. They also can't realize the greatness of a Young Jeezy album, because a lot of the times they will dismiss that as being, oh, that's mumble rap, that's trash gangster rap, that's trap music and that sort of stuff, not realizing that Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous talks about the same themes, ideas, and struggles that Jeezy talked about, that the Migos are talking about, that YG is talking about, and that sort of stuff. And see, this is one of the problems when we have art form that's intrinsically related to Black life and expression that has become pop. And it's hard to control, because one thing Black people don't control in this world is our lives and our expression and our words. We don't control anything in this world. And we're left up to the whims of the white society. And white society has decided to vaunt Eminem as the greatest of all time and to vaunt boom bap hip hop as the true expression of real hip hop, which is why you find so many of these white rappers nowadays who, whenever they rap, you'll find white rappers doing one of 2 things: rapping super fast like Eminem, or making music like the Boondocks or something like that. Not Boondocks, boom bap rap, boom bap rap. You'll find white rappers nowadays rapping like Black Sheep. You'll find white rappers nowadays rapping like Tribe Called Quest. You'll find white rappers rapping like Big L, but they won't be rapping like the Migos. They won't be rapping like Jeezy. They won't be rapping like Rick Ross and that sort of stuff. So this is the thing. White people love the old school, which is why white people took over jazz, which is why white people took over rock and roll, which is why white people took ragtime, which is why white people took, to some extent, the blues, like raw, authentic blues. You go to Memphis nowadays, you have white men on guitars playing like Muddy Waters and stuff like that, and that sort of thing. See, Black life and Black art and Black expression unfortunately, in American history and in global history, has consistently been co-opted by the dominant society who practice white supremacy. And Eminem's status in the rap game is upheld by white supremacy. I'm gonna jump into the comments right here, bro. Old albums, the atmosphere, the vibe, beat, vocals, flow, and lyrics. Number one, for anybody who's watching this, never call me bro. I am not your bro. I'm an educator. I'm a professor. I'm a philosopher. I'm a writer. I am not your bro. So never call me bro. Anybody who ever calls me bro will get blocked. But old albums do have a certain aesthetic and feel. I recently wrote a review for Twista's albums. I ranked all of Twista's albums, all 10 of them, from worst to first. And Twista's, oldest albums are usually his best. Yes, because they are closer tied to that feel. But we have to realize since hip hop's inception about 50 years ago, every year consistently it's become more commercialized. And when we say commercialized, we mean it's been dominated by the dominant society, by the white supremacists, record labels, by the media, and that sort of stuff. So on one hand, the expression of true Black life consistently becomes extracted from the actual art. This is what capitalism does, right? We take the soul out of what is created, meant to be beauty, right? Art cannot be uncommercialized in a capitalist society. Even Banksy, right? Even Banksy's art, which is supposed to be anti-capitalist in theory, sells for millions of dollars at auction and that sort of stuff. The same thing with hip hop as well. What we're seeing with hip hop is the commercialization of it, but what's more depressing is people not realizing the radicalness of hip hop. Hip hop still, to some degree, is very radical. Hip hop is the real honest expressions of a people who cannot be canceled because they are canceled every single day. In hip hop, you can say anti-gay slurs, you can disrespect people's mothers, you can talk about doing foul things to women, you can vaunt and laud capitalism. Also at the same time, you can big up women, you can be anti-capitalist, you can be an out of the box thinker. I mean, there's a space for in hip hop the Young Jocks and the Lupe Fiascos. There's a space in hip hop for Kendrick Lamar, and there's also a space for Lil Wayne, and both of these things to exist. And both of them come from the same place of Black life and expression that deals with the hardships of living under white supremacy. And what makes this very, very special and what makes it so radical is that this type of art form still remains a place where people cannot be canceled. Because what's the worst you can do to Black people? What are you going to do? Take away our wealth? We don't have any wealth. What are you going to do? Take away our freedom? We don't have any freedom. What are you going to do? Take away our opportunities? We don't have any opportunities. So in hip hop, it's the one true art form where rappers can say whatever they want to say. It's the one art form where men can speak freely. There are even things that on this very small live stream, on this very small YouTube channel, that I would feel afraid to say. But I express those things by using my wit and my intellect to express them, but in a more palatable way. But in hip hop, I could get on the mic, write a bar, write a 16, and say exactly how I feel, and nobody could touch me for it, because that's how powerful hip hop is. Hip hop is the true life and expression, two words for people who cannot be canceled, right? Which is how Eminem skated to the top. Eminem came to the top by talking about gay people and other celebrities and saying foul things about women and drug abuse and drug use and that sort of stuff. He was using the ability that Black men created through this lane that we carved where in hip hop, where we can get away with saying and talking real honestly about how we feel. I'm gonna jump into the comments here. All right. Gordana said, Albanians, you think Albanians white? Okay, number one, you need to learn English, Gordana, because do you think Albanians are white? You forgot the auxiliary verbs and the verb to be in that. And yes, by and large, Albanians are white. Does mythology interest you? Am I interested in mythology? I'm interested in a wide variety of things, but mythology is not the topic of this live stream. We're talking about hip hop, Dr. Umar, and the white supremacist takeover of hip hop, and when white people get mad online. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. I've ranted about Eminem and hip hop and Dr. Umar a lot. but I'll just say this. When white people get mad online, you realize very quickly that racism still does exist in this world. This year has been one of the most uh, fascinating years of my life online, and it's also been the most successful year. I've made the most money I've ever made on YouTube, which is, a few bones. I've made a few bones on YouTube. I worked very, very hard. I worked very, very hard on this YouTube channel, and the results have shown when it comes to the income and revenue. So I'm very grateful for that. But I also had the most interaction on my channel, period, in my channel's history. And the number one thing I learned is that white people will come on online and say racism does not exist, and then right after that say some of the most racist things you've ever heard. I usually block and delete these people, but when white people become mad, you see the inner workings of their minds that led to them saying that they were going to lynch black men in mass and cut off their penises, that they were going to burn down whole cities, that they were going to pillage an entire civilization like they did the Incas or Aztecs. When white people get mad online, it is literally one of the scariest things that you could ever experience. It's literally something that's incomparable, which goes to show how racism still functions in this world. White people have to some extent, no extent of understanding or thinking outside of themselves, because they are very quick to attack black people whenever we are speaking freely. Whenever a black person gives a critique, white people become literal to some extent, very devilish. They become very devilish in their words, manners, and deeds. I'm lucky that I literally don't give a F, and I live my life freely without fear, and knowing that I'm coming from a place of love, truth, and peace and justice whenever I speak with my words. I hope that all of this makes sense. I'm somewhat tired, did a very long workout, had a few sips of wine, but I hope this all makes sense when I'm coming out here. I know whenever I speak and it might trigger people, or whenever it comes out, I try my best to not be inflammatory, be incendiary, or to be hateful or hurtful with my words. But what white people do whenever they are triggered or become hurt is become the most evil and foul people with their words ever. I've been called all sorts of racial slurs this year, both in person and online, though the in-person stuff that happened is separate from my online life. But online, I have been harassed in a way that is absolutely not cool at all. You people have to remember that I am just one man with a computer, with a microphone, with a voice, with an idea, who has belief in myself enough to put my face on this platform to speak freely. Ozzy jumped into the chat and he said, "Salute, Simon." Shout out to Ozzy. I shouted you out before in this live stream. We only have about 20 minutes left on this, but I'm going to say that I'm just wrapping up this live stream about this idea. It's absolutely not cool for so many black creators, because I'm not the only person who has been faced with death threats, racial slurs, all sorts of negative things from white people, particularly from the Albanian community, but also from around the world as well, who are very quick to attack a black person for just expressing their opinion. All right. Ozzy jumped into the comments and said, "There's another African YouTuber I follow, and he said Tirana, Albania was incredibly racist. The smaller cities were better." Well, that's his experience, and I'm never going to discount the experiences of another YouTuber or anything like that. But I just want to say that I don't want any other YouTuber, black or otherwise, to go to Albania specifically looking for racism. I did not create my content for Albania to just be me going there and antagonizing people. I went there to have a good time, spend time with my wife, and that sort of stuff. But you will find it if you go there. That's all I have to say. But when white people get mad online, it's absolutely not cool. And I have to wonder, what is the motivation for people to be so hateful? And it goes to show that when you are a black person in this world, speaking freely, living honestly, being true to yourself, that enrages many white folks who I presume to be white supremacists, naturally racist, the most. And this is what motivates me to continue to speak freely and to continue to make my content. Even if I never said a single thing about race, even if I never created videos on any other topic, even if I came on here and just talked hip hop like I could do for days or hours in this live stream, there would still be white people who would come in here and leave the N word or leave other racial slurs for Black people. And that's absolutely not cool. And it's something that only if you're a Black person speaking online, creating content online, being online, visibly online, that you will experience. And it goes to show that these people are definitely not okay. They're not okay in the head. They're not they're not well. They're not healthy. And it's up to us as educators, as professors, as intellectuals to try to educate them. Because something that I deal with my students quite often when I'm teaching my English classes is that a lot of them, get frustrated, they get angry, sometimes they get mad at me because of the difficulty of acquiring another language. And just like learning French, learning Spanish, learning English is hard, learning the ideas of anti-racism is very difficult, and it's frustrating, and it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. When I create my content, what I'm trying to do is educate people about how to be anti-racist, about how to be anti-Black racist, and how to make a better world for people. Now, unfortunately, this burden rests on people who pick up the mantle like me, intellectuals like me, but it also rests on the white people who have never been encountered with these ideas, who generally expect Black people just to be rapping, singing, basketball playing entertainers for them because that's all they know Black people to be. They are not acquainted with, they've never met Black people who can articulate their thoughts well, who can write ideas, who can battle and challenge them with their stupid notions of the world that have never been unchallenged and stupid shit like this. For example, Gordana is an idiot. Gordana is an idiot in my live stream who thinks that Albanians are yellow people, as if yellow people exist on this planet. This is a stupid notion that has existed in the world since the conception of race, that there are red people, yellow people, Black people, and white people. Gordana is an idiot who doesn't understand that race is a social construct in itself. He probably doesn't even know English that well. And so just for me to call him out like this, he does not even understand this. But that's okay. I understand that the struggle that I put myself in is something that is unique, and it's something that I accept, and it's something that I'm willing to challenge the world on. So I'm willing to continue to do this work and continue to fight for this because I believe it is very vitally important, not only for the survival of Black people, not only for the survival of the people that will come after us, but it's very important for even white people themselves. White people themselves don't know that their idiocy, their lunacy, and their stupidity in not being able to understand that treating other people like people is very important for their own survival. We have to continue to work on that. I hope that thought is absolutely clear. Let's jump into the comments right here. Ozzy didn't leave anything. All right. All right, anyway, I'm going to leave that alone. But we're going to continue on this channel in 2024 to continue to advocate for the destruction of anti-Black racism, for education for people who are not familiar with these ideas, and we're continuing to press our lines. It does not matter how many stupid people like Gordana hop into the chat, as long as we have people like Ozzy in this world who are willing to learn, listen, educate themselves, and be okay with being uncomfortable. Just like I was uncomfortable a lot of times making my comments and things like that. I'm willing to continue to fight and advocate for the ideas I believe in. And I don't care who doesn't like me. I don't care who disagrees with what I say. I'm going to continue to press my line because I believe wholly in my heart that this is important. I believe that I was given this very unique life as a way to show people that there is another way and that we can be whatever we want to be as Black people. We do not have to be rappers, ball players, singers. We do not have to tuck and cower whenever we face anti-Black racism. We can talk about whatever we want. And we should not be afraid of white people turning blood red in the face whenever they get mad online, leaving racist, evil, stupid comments. Doesn't matter how many hop into the chat and that sort of stuff. We are going to continue to press online. And as long as people continue to listen and continue to engage, we will challenge their stupid ideas. So as long as Gordana remains an idiot, a dumbass, who continues to say stuff like, there is no racism in the world, or anti-Black racism is not a problem, we will continue to fight back against their ideas, okay? Even if they don't understand English. And as an English teacher, I also know that this is a very big struggle as well. And that's one of the most annoying things on this channel, right? We have people who come into the comments and can't even speak proper English, but that's okay. That's okay. Anyway, I think I've covered a lot. I wanted to just test out this MacBook that I got. Thanks to all of you. I would not be able to buy this very new, very fancy MacBook that I have without the donations and help and view time and watch time and comments and likes from all of you. So shout out to everybody who's been supporting me this year and who's continuing to rock with me. I want to say thank you so much. And 2024 will be an amazing, big year. Big year. So Ozzy says, that's awesome. You deserve it. Well, thank you. And a lot of it has to do with you, Ozzy. I mean, you've constantly been coming into the live streams, leaving comments, engaging with me and stuff like that. So I appreciate that a lot. But I'd be very interested to know what people think about Eminem being the GOAT. Could he be the GOAT? Is he one of the GOATs? For me, Eminem, honestly, he doesn't crack my top 10 favorites. Eminem does not crack my top 10 favorites. He does crack my top 5 greatest if we were to analyze who is the most important in hip-hop history. Of course, we have to add Eminem as one of the most important of all time. But should Eminem stands be attacking Dr. Umar because he acknowledges that Eminem doesn't represent what hip-hop is in its soul, in its essence? No, they shouldn't. Those are crazy white people online who get mad about anything whenever a Black person is talking about anything substantial. So of course not. Of course not. They shouldn't be doing that. But once again, this is the world we live in, but we will continue to change it. Best Eminem song? Can't even think of it right now. Best Eminem album? I would say definitely Marshall Mathers LP or the Eminem Show. But either way, I'll just leave it at that. And yeah, so thank you everybody for watching. I'm going to cut this live stream short. And peace.